Hi, I'm Malcolm, and thanks for joining us on this very special edition of KMNH. Over to my co-anchor Toby as we ring in the new year.
Hi, I'm Toby, and Happy New Year's Eve from everyone at KMNH. Kids make the news happen, and Happen Inc. On this New Year's Eve special broadcast of KMNH, we are going to take a look back at some of our broadcast highlights over the last year and even some KMNH bloopers, cuts, and video clips that didn't make it onto the broadcast. But first, let's take a look at a clip from the very first KMNH that was broadcast the same week as the COVID shutdown in 2020.
Breaking news. Happen's website at happeninc.org now has 3 streaming channels so you and your family can enjoy Happen at home. These 3 channels are Entertain, Educate, and Empower, including our very own news broadcast. We invite you to tune in to our 24/7 family-friendly channels. Remember Happen's theme: community is not where you live, it's how you live with other people.
That was March 18th, and this is now. We had some work lights from the hardware store and an old camera phone, plus we recorded in the Happen studio with no microphones. We were constantly being interrupted by cars, sirens, and people passing by. Then, when the stay-at-home order went into effect, the KMNH anchors actually reported from their homes every day, Monday through Friday, for weeks. Thanks to all the KMNH anchors and reporters that worked so hard that in 10 months we went from recording in Happen Studio to now having a Happen Media Center. This is where we write, record, and bring you the news from the neighborhood and even around the world. In fact, here's an interview from June 26th with Dan Mendez-Moore in Minneapolis from 2020 that we should never forget.
Thanks, Dan, for being on our show.
Thanks for having me, Omer. And I'm just here recording from 38th in Chicago here in Minneapolis. You can see behind me is actually where George Floyd was killed here, and it's become a memorial made by the community in his honor.
Can you explain your artwork and your focus on social justice?
So I've drawn, done comics for many years, and it's always something that I really enjoyed. And so obviously, the more I got into organizing, and the more I got into joining the fight against police brutality and worker rights, the more that I wanted to use my art to say something about those important issues to me.
Why did you choose art to be a part of what you do to make a difference in this world?
I think art is a really good way to get through to people who speak different languages, who come from different backgrounds, who are different ages. I think art is a universal language that everybody understands.
Did you have mentors or people that influenced your art when you were young?
I would say my biggest mentor that I can think of growing up was my art teacher, Wiley Ferguson, who took art very seriously when I think most of my teachers thought it was just kind of a way to screw around. Mr. Ferguson was very serious about the power of art. So he's definitely somebody who comes to mind.
Do you remember your first political cartoon, and how old were you?
So for me, political cartoons are any sort of cartoon that just make a statement about somebody in power. And I definitely remember making a lot of cartoons about my 7th grade Latin teacher that I really disliked. And so I think that might be my first political cartoons, was making fun of him with cartoons.
Your first book documents the riots in Cincinnati. You were here, and now you're there, living just a few blocks away from where George Floyd was killed. Does it change the way you look at your book? If so, how?
That's a really good question. It does. I think when I made the book, I was much more focused on wanting to share the story that we all experienced at that time in Cincinnati, and really wanting to share the experience of people who really risked a lot and really fought to make sure that Timothy Thomas and his legacy wasn't forgotten by history. And now this many years later in a different city with a very similar situation happening, it does just really make me think that my story was never just about Cincinnati. It was actually very much a story of people all over the United States, and so yeah, it makes me feel much less that the story was a local story about Cincinnati history and much more of a global story.
You now have 2 young children. How has being a father changed your art or focused for change?
That's also a very good question. This is my baby daughter right here. I think it has made the job feel much more important, right? Because it's not just about me, but it's about the next generation. And to me, that just seems even more important that, us adults and us kids right now really fight to make sure the next generation has a better world to live in.
Can you describe what your neighborhood is like now, and what do you think it will be like a year from now?
I think right now, as you can see around, I don't know if you maybe want to, I would say this spot has been really the center of everything, and the neighborhood has fought really hard to make this a space of reflection, a space of protest. And I think very much that for the next year to come, the neighborhood is going to continue to be a place of protest, a place of reflection. And there's going to be a lot of challenges to make sure that we can confront these big problems like white supremacy and police brutality. We've already got almost every house in the neighborhood has signs up in solidarity with the movement. So I think there's really strong backing, but there's also a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure that people want this just to go away and things to kind of go back to normal. And so it's going to be up to the neighbors here to make sure that things don't go back to normal, but they actually get better.
Thank you so much for being on KMNH, and thanks for what you do. You and your work means a lot to our teams here at Happen.
Well, first, I want to thank you for what you're doing and what everybody involved with Kids Making News Happen is doing. Because that's really the first step, is coming together and figuring out how can we do things that are bigger than ourselves. And so I want to applaud you all for the work you do. And I think for other kids right now, it's just pay attention. It's look at the world around you and think about what are the things that seem unfair, and don't let anybody tell you that that's just how the way it is. You need to question everything, and you need to demand that the world is a safe and beautiful place for you to grow up in. And so I think that starts with just coming together, asking questions, and and building community. So thanks so much, you all, and look forward to seeing more of the show. This is a piece of art that was made in the middle of the road here, starting with George Floyd, and then going down, listing off name after name after name after name after name of people, of black people who have been victims of racist violence. You'll see Trayvon Martin there, and you can go, and it goes, 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 and it goes. This is the spot that George Floyd was killed by the officers. Has become a permanent memorial now. The community is completely taken and hold this intersection the whole time, made a lot of beautiful art and planted flowers, and really made a powerful space for reflection, memorial, and for protest. And many people might have seen the mural on the news. So the mural is just right on this side of the building here that you'll get to take a look at. It's right here. People made that kind of immediately after the murder, and as you can see, this is a historically black and still very much black dominated business district here in Minneapolis, and so it's been a beautiful coming together of the community.
I'm excited that I will be producing 2 new KMNH segments this year. The first segment is once a month I will be giving away an Outstanding Student Award to a Chase Elementary student. This segment is special to me because I graduated from Chase Elementary School and look at me now. Each month an outstanding student will be selected and they will receive a $25 gift card, a Happen KMNH Outstanding Student Certificate, and an autographed picture of me. I'm also producing a cooking segment that really brings dinner home because I'm going to be learning how to cook family recipes with my grandmother, and these recipes were passed down from her grandmother and now over 100 years later to me. So make sure to watch KMNH in 2021 for these new KMNH special reports. Thanks to all the donors, sponsors, the Northside Community Council, the Northside Community Fund, and the Northside Business Association for helping us grow and bring you the KMNH news. Plus, we can't forget our fans like Laura Vogan, who recently wrote "Fantastic as always," or Kathy Shear, who commented "Totally cool." We have even had reporters report on us reporting the news.
We are very excited to have a real professional news anchor in the KMNH studio today. We are so proud that WCPO Channel 9 news anchor and Northside neighbor Kristen Hartman is here in the KMNH studio. Thank you so much for being on our broadcast.
Thank you for having me.
When did you know that you wanted to be a journalist?
That's a good question. I actually wanted to be a doctor, and when I was a junior in high school, I took chemistry and I wasn't good at it at all. And so I met with my high school counselor and we took a look at the things that I enjoyed doing. I was on the speech team, so I liked public speaking, I liked writing, I was on the school newspaper. And he said, well, I think you know, all of your interests fall in line with something journalism oriented. And I loved current events. So that's how I shifted into broadcast television or broadcast news. Mm-hmm.
What do you think is so important about journalism?
If you think about our Constitution, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, those are constitutional protections, and I do believe journalists are defenders of that. And I think it's hugely important that we are here to shine a light on, shine a light where there might be darkness. In fact, the company that I work for, that is one of the primary, that's the mission statement, shine light and people will find their own way. And I really believe that we are part and parcel of that mission. We are the people who exercise that mission.
Not every broadcast goes as planned as we take a look at some of the funny parts of KMNH that never made it on air.
Today's word of the day is
Liver.
Spelled L-I-V-E-R. Liver is an organ somewhere in your body. It does something, and you have two of them. You can, no wait, those are the kidneys. I don't remember if you're supposed to have your liver. I think you can, no, that's the appendix. I have not taken a class on human anatomy. If that is not apparent, these are your kidneys. You can get rid of two of them. Your liver does something involving food.
Goblins, wizards, and...
You know what a person is called that studies... I can't keep it together. I kept it together for the last... You know what a person is called that studies
Done.
Happy Christmas Eve, and I'm Toby with your... Happy Christmas Eve, and I'm Toby with your...
Tommy went on to explain that since I have lost my ability to speak English.
Over to Malcolm with the next radar sighting of Santa. Dang, man. See?
The other thing is that no one can see the teleprompter.
You're not helping.
I'm a professional. I mean, it's a good question.
Okay, everyone close your eyes. Don't even look. Not over there.
You got it. Let's do it.
You got it.
I am a professional ILAXED. I can't.
Think of it anyway.
We should spend like 5 minutes just chilling for a sec.
Stop! Oh my god! We look at each other.
All right. We got it. We're rolling.
We are? Okay. Today's word of the day is relaxed, spelled RELAXED. It is defined as to rest or...
As you can see, being a news anchor and reporter is not as easy as it looks, especially when you are learning in front of thousands of KMNH viewers every week. We are learning to research, write, and be storytellers. Tommy says KMNH also gives kids the opportunity to be leaders. So let's take a look at my very first KMNH report. I'm Malcolm.
Say it one more time.
I'm
Okay. Quiet on set.
Malcolm. Wait, was I supposed to say the...
Quiet on set.
I'm Malcolm. Hamilton County Library, located in downtown Cincinnati, was the first in the county to open since March 13th due to the coronavirus pandemic. Many other branches opened in the following days, the last of which opened on July 20th, which were the Hyde Park, Oakley, Walnut Hills, and Wyoming branch, 35 days after the partial opening of the main branch. Reopening dates for Elmwood Place, Green Hills, Mount Healthy, North Central, and Price Hill are not yet determined. The visits will be limited to no more than 1 hour, and there will be no fees for the remainder of the year. The Board of Trustees voted to waive fees as a means of promoting equity and helping residents save cash during these challenging economic times. We have come a long way. Over to you, Toby.
So now is the time you have been waiting for, the traditional Happen New Year's countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Every year for the last 10 years, Happen has had a New Year's Eve dance. So even though we can't gather this year, we thought we could bring some memories of past celebrations.
We want to thank all the frontline workers that have been fighting the COVID pandemic every day now for over 10 months. We had a chance to talk with one of those frontline workers, Sharon Riley. Sharon is a Northside neighbor and is a registered nurse at a local Cincinnati hospital where she works with newborns and mothers, but she also helped babies in intensive care. Sharon received what she likes to think of as a very special Christmas gift this year.
Able to get the COVID vaccine on Christmas Eve. I joke that it was the best Christmas present I've ever gotten, but it's not really a joke, it really was. I'm so grateful that I was able to be in the first round of vaccines for the hospital that I work at.
With under 3 million people receiving the COVID vaccine so far in the United States, Sharon was one of the first frontline workers to be vaccinated in Ohio.
The reason why I was part of that first round is because I do work in the NICU, the neonatal ICU. So those babies are very vulnerable to illness, so they want to make sure that everyone caring for them is healthy.
Sharon said that the vaccine lessened a lot of stress and anxiety, but as more and more people receive the vaccine, we can't let our guard down, and that it takes time for the vaccine to do its job.
So the vaccine is not a license to go out and do whatever I want now. I've gotten the first vaccine, and my understanding is that around 2 weeks from now, I'll have 80 to 90% less chance of catching coronavirus than someone who is not vaccinated. And then in a total of 4 weeks from when I got my first vaccine, I'll get a second vaccine. 2 weeks after that, I will be around 95% more protected than someone who has not had the vaccine.
With 2 different approved vaccine manufacturers and more vaccines waiting for approval, the process and distributions are confusing to some residents.
There are currently 2 vaccines that have gotten emergency approval from the CDC for coronavirus. They're the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine. And they both require 2 shots. Pfizer is 3 weeks apart, Moderna is 4 weeks apart. So I, like I said, got my vaccine on Christmas Eve, and absolutely the only side effect, which was listed, is my arm was a little sore, but not bad at all. No other side effects. Everything's gone great.
Again, we want to thank Sharon and all the frontline workers. We wish them a safe and happy new year.
Remember, community is not just where you live, it's how you live with other people.
We like to do a lot of top 3 or top 5 or even top 10 lists here on KMNH, so we couldn't not do a top list to end 2020. But instead of looking back, we thought to look forward to 2021 with a little luck added in. So here are 3 lucky meals for New Year's Day 2021 from simple.com. Number 1 is fruit, but you have to eat 12 different kinds of fruit to symbolize each month of the year. Number 2 is greens. It's thought that eating greens will bring you more green, as in money. Number 3 is sauerkraut. It's thought that the long strands of cabbage in sauerkraut symbolizes a potentially long life. So good luck with your New Year's Day meal, and good luck to everyone in 2021. Thank you to all of our KMNH viewers, sponsors, volunteers for all of your support in 2020. And from everyone at KMNH and Happen, Inc., we wish you a safe and happy New Year.